Have you ever needed to use an official document, like a birth certificate or a diploma, in a completely different country? If you have, you've probably run into a wall of confusing paperwork. Well, today we're going to cut right through all that confusion. We're breaking down the apostille, a really important stamp that makes your documents valid all over the world, and we'll show you exactly how to get one.
Just think about it for a second. Are you planning to study abroad? Or maybe get married in another country? Or even close a big international business deal? If you're sending any kind of official paperwork across borders, you are definitely going to want to stick around for this.
Because if you're doing any of those things, there is a very good chance you're going to need this special certification called an apostille. It's basically the key that unlocks your document's validity in that other country. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll cover what an apostille actually is. Then we'll get into why you might need one. After that, we are going to walk through the process step by step. We'll also clear up some common confusion between an apostille and an authentication, and then we'll wrap it all up with a final checklist so you know exactly what to do. Okay, so let's dive right in. The word itself, apostille, might sound a little intimidating, maybe a bit fancy, but the whole idea behind it is actually pretty straightforward. Let's demystify this thing. So, simply put, an apostille, which, is French for certification, is just an official seal of approval. It all comes from this international agreement called the Hague Convention, and its one and only job is to prove that your document is the real deal. So other countries that are part of the agreement will accept it. No questions asked. Here's probably the easiest way to think about it. An apostille is basically a passport for your document. It's that simple. Just like you need a passport to cross a border, your birth certificate or your diploma needs an apostille to be legally recognized in another country. So this isn't just some abstract legal concept, right? This is something that pops up in real life all the time. Let's talk about some practical, real-world situations where you would actually need to go through this whole process. You'll see this come up for all kinds of major life events. I'm talking destination weddings where you need a marriage license, or maybe dual citizenship applications that need a birth certificate. It's also absolutely critical for academic stuff, like if you're applying to a university abroad, and for legal documents like powers of attorney when you're doing business internationally. All right, now for the main event, the how-to part. Getting an apostille might seem like you're navigating a bureaucratic maze, but it's really just a series of clear, totally manageable steps. Let's break it down. It really just boils down to 4 key steps. First, you've got to get your document notarized. Second, you have to identify the competent authority that can issue the apostille. Now, in the US, this is almost always going to be your state's Secretary of State. Third, you submit your application with that notarized document and whatever fees they require. And finally, you get your document back with the official apostille certificate attached. And trust me, the order here is crucial. You can't skip a step. Okay, now this is a point that trips up a lot of people. You might hear the term authentication thrown around with apostille, and it is so important to know they are not the same thing. Which one you need depends completely on where your document is headed.
See, it all comes down to one question. Is the destination country part of the Hague Convention? If the answer is yes, we're talking about places like Australia, Mexico, or the UK. You need an apostille. It's a single, standardized, and much simpler process. But if the answer is no, for countries like Canada, China, or the UAE, then you'll need what's called an authentication. And that process is way more complex and usually involves getting approvals from that country's embassy or consulate.
Okay, let's bring it all home. To make sure you're totally ready to go, we've put together a final checklist with the most important points you need to remember. Here's your 5-point checklist. Number 1, confirm the destination is a Hague Convention country. 2, get your document properly notarized. 3, find the correct issuing authority. Again, it's usually your Secretary of State. 4, double-check their website for the most up-to-date forms and fees. And 5, and this is probably the most important tip of all, allow plenty of time. Seriously, this isn't an overnight thing, so you have to start early. So there you have it, the whole apostille process. Totally demystified. It's that official passport that gives your documents the credibility they need to be accepted anywhere in the world. So that just leaves one final question for you. Now that you know how it's done, what's the first document you're going to get ready for its international journey? Thanks for tuning into this explainer.